Y esta canción es para ustedes, mi gente. Hay que volver, volver y volver y volver a la pasión que nos inspira, a la acción colectiva. And this song reminds us to go back and reach for that passion that inspires us to move forward together with love. Este amor apasionado anda todo alborotado por volver. Voy camino a la locura y aunque todo me tortura, sé querer. Nos dejamos hace tiempo, pero me llegó el momento de perder. Ay, tú tenías mucha razón, le hago caso al corazón y me muero por volver. Y volver, todos, todas, todes, volver. A tus brazos otra vez. Llegaré hasta donde estés. Yo sé perder, yo sé perder. Quiero volver, quiero volver, volver, volver. Hay que volver a la armonía, a la piedad, al perdón, a la creatividad, a las ideas, a la unidad. Let's go back. Let's go back to unity. Hay que volver, hay que volver, hay que volver. Hay que volver. Hay que volver. Buenas noches, good evening, welcome y bienvenidos. My name is Liliana Herrera, and along with some music, I'm also your communications partner for this evening, where I will be providing a language interpretation simultaneously through the Zoom feature. Buenas noches, me llamo Liliana Herrera y aquí estoy para ofrecer interpretación simultánea utilizando la función de Zoom. If we could go to the next slide, please. Bueno, we want to make sure that at this very moment, you're not going to see a globe at the bottom of your screen, but momentarily you will. And if you're on your computer, you're going to find that globe right at the bottom. Y en un momento vamos a activar la función de interpretación simultánea, donde encontrará en la parte inferior de su pantalla un icono de globo. Next slide, please. So if you're connecting from your cell phone or an iPad, please select the 3 dots or more, and please select a channel. And you're also, it's up to you to activate or deactivate the original audio. En un momento va a buscar por su celular los 3 puntitos que diga more o más, y ahí va a poder seleccionar su canal de interpretación en español. So I'd just like to remind everyone, if you see me smiling or doing this, it just means to please slow down, speak at a moderate pace so that we can all follow along and create a very equitable bilingual space. Savor your words. Entonces, disfrute expresar con sus palabras en un paso moderado. So now, if you can, the host can please activate the feature, we can go ahead and do a quick little test. Once I'm in the channel, I won't be able to be heard in the main room. So if we can do that now, then we can all do a quick test and do a thumbs up if you can hear me in the channel. Entonces voy a entrar al canal de español y en inglés también, y haremos una pruebita y si nos puede mostrar el pulgar para asegurar que me puedan escuchar. Muchas gracias.
I'm getting a chat that there are people trying to get in.
So, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Worksafe's 39th anniversary celebration, our first ever virtual celebration. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Stephen Knight. I use he, him pronouns, Executive Director of Worksafe since January 2020. As way of quick background, I would say that in 3 decades of legal and policy advocacy, there's little I haven't learned that I have learned that didn't get driven home for me in college, supporting university workers on strike for equal pay and fighting for the school to divest from racist apartheid South Africa. I've met many of you over the past year that we've been working together on safety under COVID-19, and I look forward to meeting and working closely with the rest of you in the coming months. We didn't have an event last year. Our board was clairvoyant and decided, even before the pandemic, to forego a 2020 event. But we're just notwithstanding all the limitations of this format, we're really glad to be back on track and gathering together this evening to celebrate worker health and safety heroes in 2021. Now to my co-host for tonight's event.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you so much, and welcome everybody. As Stephen's saying, you know, back to the work, back to make sure that we have, you know, the advocacy together to keep pushing for work and safety. Welcome. My name is Alor Calderon. I'm the board chair of Worksafe. I'm also the executive director of the Employee Rights Center in San Diego.
So it has been, as you all know, an amazing, overwhelming, empowering, very challenging year for workplace health and safety under COVID. And we are so honored and proud to have you all here with us virtually tonight to recognize and celebrate our honorees. Thank you so much to all of our generous sponsors of tonight's event. Please take a minute to check out the program book, where you can find information about both honorees and sponsors and more. Our honorees are individuals and organizations chosen because of their passion for worker justice and their service to the occupational health and safety community. Their leadership gives the rest of us a clearer path toward our collective goal, a world in where each and every worker comes home safe and healthy at the end of the day. As labor advocates, we must acknowledge that there will never be workplace justice without racial justice. After 4 very dark years experiencing some of this country's worst instincts and practices, we stand now on the cusp of a different kind of country and politics, one where solidarity with those who have the least and risk the most is celebrated instead of mocked, where labor is honored and fairly compensated, where we know that none of us is safe until all of us are. But none of that is settled or certain unless we join and work together, and that's what we're doing here tonight. So this short event is going to be over before you know it, and we hope and trust you'll be moved to donate to Worksafe. You can use your phone to donate by texting the code WS39 to 44321. And now our board member, Xochitl Lopez, will introduce our first Worker Health and Safety Hero Award.
Good evening. My name is Xochitl Lopez, and I am a labor attorney with the Office of Weinberg, Roger, and Rosenfeld. And I am also a new board member for Worksafe. I'm very happy and proud today to be able to introduce one of Worksafe's honorees, the United Food and Commercial Workers Western States Council. The council has been a force and continues to be in worker health and safety. One of its signature achievements this year is Assembly Bill 685, signed by Governor Newsom last fall by Assemblymember Eloise Gomez-Reyes. The law requires employers to notify employees and, importantly, their unions regarding any workplace exposure to COVID-19 and includes specific requirements for what that notice must contain. In addition to the notice, the law requires employers to make reports to their local government agency when there has been a COVID-19 outbreak of 3 or more COVID-19 cases at the workplace, and then that information is ultimately reported to the public through the state. I can tell you from personal experience as a labor attorney, AB 685 was has been extremely important to workers and to union representatives during a very difficult and uncertain time. The law's requirements faced and continue to face significant opposition from not just employers, but also from some government agencies who unfortunately have become a bit cozy with the employers and undermine worker safety. As the council executive director, Amber Bauer, told Bloomberg last fall, companies are using threats to keep workers silent about COVID-19 outbreaks, and that puts us all at risk. But because of the council's crucial advocacy during a very important moment in workers' health and safety, we have increased transparency, and California is better situated to meet the demands of worker health and safety in the future. For that reason, Worksafe is very proud to honor the United Food and Commercial Workers Western States Council.
Hello, my name is Esther Lopez. I am an essential worker and I've been in the front line since the beginning of the pandemic. I'm very proud and honored to have been chosen to accept this award on behalf of United Food and Commercial Workers Western State Council. United Food and Commercial Workers has helped pass AB 685 and implemented the COVID-19 safety audits, among others. Thank you, Worksafe, for recognizing United Food and Commercial Workers Western States Council, and thank you, United Food and Commercial Workers, for helping us stay safe.
Thank you. And I am thrilled today. As I was saying a moment ago, to be co-hosting this with Stephen and with all the great people that you're going to see in this presentation, in this event. We're here to celebrate the honorees. These are, our heroes, our sort of leaders who are leading through very important work. And today, we are here also to talk about Worksafe solidarity and to the continued work that we need to do and the support that we need from your donations. We really want to make sure that you all hear what Worksafe has been doing, will continue to be doing, and we're going to hear the voices of some of the people who have seen our work, who are supporters, and who have specifically seen some of the contributions we've done for health and safety. And so to sort of give a little background, to give us a context that I think we all, we probably should have and we want you to have, here's a video about some of our supporters and some of our work.
I'm Matty Carlos. I'm happy to support Worksafe as a board member for the last 8 years. And I support Worksafe because no one else in California does everything that Worksafe does to promote occupational health and safety and protect workers. And particularly in this time of pandemic, Worksafe's vital work is more important than ever. And the great thing about Worksafe is that it's a small team. It's fewer than 10 people, an amazing staff who do so many different things to support California's workers, particularly vulnerable workers like low-wage workers, immigrant workers, and workers who aren't part of unions. And Worksafe does this through so many different types of activities, including providing worker testimony to the legislature and the standards board so that these decision makers can hear directly from workers who are affected by the rules and decisions that are made in Sacramento. Worksafe provides trainings and educational support to worker centers and other community groups so that their staff and their members in the community can be educated and empowered to support their rights to a safe and healthy workplace. Worksafe provides technical support and assistance to legal aid lawyers like me when we're representing our clients, and we can turn to the amazing experts on Worksafe's staff. And Worksafe also works in coalition with unions and so many other workers' rights groups to amplify the voice and the power of California's workers. So I'm proud to support Worksafe, and I hope you can as well. Thank you.
The Worksafe has established a special award in honor of Fran Schreiberg for her extraordinary contribution of time and expertise over the years. Awarded recipients are those whose pro bono service had a major impact on our ability to deliver the best advocacy and assistance possible. Fran is still sharing her excellent counsel and unparalleled perspective with Worksafe and others today. She's at counsel with the firm Kaysen McLean, Satterley and Greenwood, another major Worksafe supporter. I'm thrilled now to hand the mic to Dr. Mike Wilson with Cal OSHA, former firefighter and paramedic and president of IAFF Local 1270, to introduce this year's award.
Great. Thank you, Stephen, and good evening, brothers and sisters. Worksafe is honored to recognize a very special colleague, activist, and friend this evening for the Fran Schreiberg Award. And this is a person who has dedicated his life to the worker safety and health movement, and specifically to the fight over the rights of workers to recover and rebuild their lives after an injury or illness on the job. That person is Glenn Shor, and I'm talking about the workers' compensation system. And if anyone has had direct experience with that system, you know how crucial the fine print can be in shaping lives, how it can determine the ability of injured workers to access medical care and find a path forward from injury to recovery and a return, not only to work, but to life itself. Like Fran Schreiberg, Glenn has applied his intellect and drive to ensuring that the workers' compensation system moves toward justice, toward workers' rights and a decent society. And in this way, Glenn has touched the lives of millions of workers and families in California and across the nation. We're lucky in California that for more than 20 years, Glenn has served as a policy advisor in the Department of Industrial Relations and at Cal OSHA. But Glenn has been in the worker safety and health movement since at least 1978. That's 43 years, folks. And so I think in 1978, he must have been in the 6th grade when he was working as a research analyst for the US Department of Labor. Since then, Glenn has played critical roles both in California and nationally, including as an advisor to David Michaels, Assistant Secretary of Labor for Occupational Safety and Health in the Obama administration. And for years, Glenn has worked to pass the torch as a lecturer and mentor at UC Berkeley and Sacramento State. Finally, over the years, Glenn has led the historical work of the American Public Health Association's Occupational Health and Safety section, where he has helped us remember in concrete terms what we've achieved together as a movement for worker safety and health and for social and racial justice. This perspective has helped us acknowledge that so much of what we've fought for is fluid, and that the words can change, and what we thought was resolved can evaporate. And so thankfully for us, Glenn Shor has been on duty for more than 43 years, and for that we are eternally grateful. So please join me in congratulating Dr. Glenn Shor as our 2021 recipient of the Fran Schreiberg Award.
Good evening. Thanks very much to friends, colleagues, mentors, and Worksafe for this unexpected and very much appreciated honor. I've worked on occupational safety and health issues since 1978, when I was hired by the US Department of Labor to study the failures of occupational disease compensation during the time that Eula Bingham was reinvigorating federal OSHA. While my job involved statistical and survey research, the real learning for me took place when I traveled to South Carolina to help on a study of disabled cotton textile workers being run by the Carolina Brown Lung Association. It was there that I witnessed firsthand the dignity of workers joining in a common goal to affect their job conditions and to get acknowledgement that their health had been decimated by their work. The workers took action, brought attention to their plight, and made a difference, eventually winning a needed health standard. During those years, with friends and union activists, I also helped found a Kosh group centered around the hazards of shipyards and steel mills in Baltimore, and saw the impact of workers and health and safety professionals collaborating around improving both occupational safety and health and workers' comp. After Ronald Reagan was elected president in 1980, our Labor Department project was shut down. I moved back to California, joined BACOSH, and helped lead an effort to reform workers' comp in California in the early 80s. I learned a few lessons then. Through no fault of their own, workers who had been injured or made ill by their jobs at best might achieve some compensation, but rarely did they achieve even a glimmer of justice. All too often, workers lost their jobs, their income, and their security after injury or illness. I went back to school to study the evolution of workers' comp policy in California and learned that a historical effort to achieve a system that was fair, adequate, and timely, and that stressed the interconnections of financial compensation and health and safety had broken down. Instead, the comp system rewarded insurance companies, employers, some lawyers and medical professionals, while workers paid the price. The system failed to even document the extent of the problem because many workers feared reporting injury because it could literally cost them their jobs. Sadly, those problems remain today and the fight continues. With many of you, I spent most of my decades as a federal and state government worker setting up systems that could help assess the scope and nature of occupational health and safety and towards supporting official actions to protect workers. As a bureaucratic insider, I tried to document, make public, release, and educate about official data and what they could show. Now I'm fortunate to be teaching about occupational injury and occupational safety and health law and regulation, and I try to combine the importance of statistics and research with the outrage of how things continue. The National COSH movement and the efforts of Worksafe as effective and compassionate legal and social supports lead that effort, and I'm proud to be part of that tradition. In the COVID era, when occupational health is so critical to any return to normality, we all need such a movement. The words of one of my heroes, worker and human rights activist Crystal Eastman, 2 weeks after the 1911 Triangle Factory fire, has helped guide me. She said, "Benevolent talk about working men's insurance and compensation might appease our sense of right, but after events like the Triangle Factory, who wants to hear about a great relief fund? What we want is to start a revolution. We must pause and consider what are the essential weapons of our campaign. The first thing we need is information, complete and accurate information about the accidents that are happening. While it seems a tame thing to drop so suddenly from talk of revolutions to talk of statistics, I believe in statistics just as firmly as I believe in revolutions. And what is more, I believe statistics are good stuff to start a revolution with." In closing, I'd like to remember a friend and fellow Worksafe supporter, Joan Lichterman, who died recently after a long bout with cancer. Joan was a great editor, organizer, reliable protester, and visionary around confronting ergonomic hazards and injuries. Her pro bono work inspired me and many others in the US and Canada, and tonight I celebrate her memory. Thanks again. Good night.
Thank you, Glenn Shor. What an amazing honoree. And today, as we continue, we want to make sure that we all hear about the extraordinary work that Worksafe has been doing over the pandemic, over this COVID pandemic, and particularly the local and national impact that the COVID emergency temporary standard has brought to California. This is something that Worksafe led in the collaborative efforts throughout the state. And even while this was happening, they brought together the adoption of the wildfire rule to become permanent. These are a major accomplishment for any organization, and also
Hamilton too. That's pretty good.
While this was happening,
you got to make it as good as you
we'd like to say that our impact has become so noteworthy. Our previous executive director, Doug Parker, was picked by Governor Newsom to be the head of Kalosha, and not very much time later, it was also being nominated and selected to run the federal OSHA. In addition, Dan Lucido, our prior chairman, became the general counsel for Kalosha. Worksafe is having impact institutionally, nationally. We have done quite a bit of work, and we only did this because we did this collaboratively. In early 2020, we convened advocates, attorneys to bring best practices together. We brought worker centers so that there would be a dialogue with Kalosha about how to best ensure that there is a health and safety thought and process as new legislation or possibility of having new standards come in. We supported, very importantly, complaints from Amazon workers, Whole Food workers, janitorial workers in this very, very trying times. And we were there supporting what could have been a preventable death by Michael Murillo in Los Angeles. He unfortunately died in a tow yard in Los Angeles. Worksafe has been doing all this work during this year, and we continue to do the work. We need your support to continue to doing this work. And so to speak a little bit about all these issues, we have another video to show you. So here's the video.
I see on a daily basis people suffering work-related injuries or fatalities that could have been prevented. And so the tie-in between what I do and what Worksafe does is so vital. And I appreciate all of their advocacy and their education and their outreach and their tie-in to other entities. And again, I believe what they do is so vital to protect working people of California.
I was just thinking the other day about all of the different letters that Worksafe wrote, all the different testimony that was offered, all the different campaigns that Worksafe led. And it's pretty easy to say that without Worksafe, workers in California would definitely be a whole lot less safe, even just looking at that little 8-year time that I've been involved in all this.
Right now, at this vital moment for recognition of the importance of worker voice and power, as people are being exposed to a deadly disease at their workplaces, Worksafe stands at the center of the conversation, building on 40 years of experience and hard-nosed advocacy. I'm proud to be part of this team fighting for the right of all workers to be safe in their jobs.
Worksafe's strategic litigation led to us holding a Walmart contractor accountable for the indoor heat illness and hospitalization of Domingo Blancas, and a Walmart temp worker, through a long multi-year appeals process.
The collaboration that Worksafe and Centro provides is one that ensures that workers are heard and amplified through their struggles in the workplace. Worksafe has been a leader in worker health projects and initiatives, and with Centro's direct services, we're able to provide comprehensive support for workers fighting for justice. Thank you, Worksafe, for all the amazing work you've done.
Hi everyone, it's so nice to be here with you during this event, honoring the hard work of our health and safety heroes, right, that work so hard to make our workplaces, safer for all of us. And as you know, Worksafe is a small nonprofit with a major mission, right? We are the only nonprofit in California with a dedicated focus to worker health and safety. So we do worker outreach and education. We mobilize and convene advocates. And we work hard to tell the public and policymakers that worker health and safety is a critical public health and social justice issue. With just 6 staff members, we manage to have a statewide impact. And this is Worksafe's only fundraising event of the year. And much of the work that we do relies on this event, right? It depends on the funds that we raise, in this occasion. So the fact is that a lot of the work that we do is not funded by grants. And many of the things that we are known for, right, like our policy efforts and Workers' Memorial Day events, they are all unfunded. And foundation funding for worker health and safety, it's pretty hard to come by, even during unprecedented pandemic times as we live right now. So this is why it is so important for us to step up and contribute. And I urge you, if you haven't yet had the opportunity to make a donation, or if you're able to add to the gift that you have already made, I hope that you will consider a new or additional contribution to support our effort. And there are several ways that you can donate to Worksafe. You can text WS39 to 44321. Again, WS39 to 44321, and you will receive a link where you can make the donation online. And you can also Venmo at Worksafe. We're that cool. So our handle is @Worksafe. Super simple. And you can go to our website, www.worksafe.org, click donate and make a donation there for us. And every little bit helps, right? To give you an example, $50 pays for Worksafe staff to provide one worker with training on hazard identification or on basic occupational safety and health principles. And it is this type of training that helps workers stay safe at work, right? And they share the information with their families, who will also be safer at work. It has a rippling effect, so your donation goes far. And of course, the point of the work that we do is to fight for health and safety on the job and to prevent death on the job and to prevent tragedies like the ones that we cover during Worker Memorial Day or on our Dying at Work report. And we know that no amount of money will bring those workers back, but we can do something to prevent new tragedies. And that's why I urge you to please donate to Worksafe. Again, you can text WS39 to 44321 to donate to Worksafe. You can Venmo at Worksafe, and you can go to our website, www.worksafe.org. And you can also donate your car to Worksafe. Go to our website, www.worksafe.org, and there's information there. Please donate whatever you can. It really helps. And now, let's welcome back Liliana Herrera with another song, Bread and Roses too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
We go marching, marching, marchando, marchando. We dreaming together, soñando, soñando. Together we paid our dues, yeah, 'cause we want bread and roses too. Mazapan y rosas for me and you, yeah, yeah. Mazapan y rosas for me and you, yeah. History in your own soul, yeah. 'Cause we want bread and roses too, yeah, yeah. We walked the line, we paid our dues, yeah. 'Cause we want bread and roses too, yeah, yeah. Mazapan for everyone, yeah, and rosas too, yeah, yeah. Venimos organizando, soñando, marchando, también colaborando. Cause we want bread and roses too, yeah, yeah. Cultivate the garden, work the bakery too, yeah, yeah, yeah. 'Cause we want bread and roses too, not your leftover crumbs, or your thorny stems, no, yeah. 'Cause we want bread and roses too, 'cause we earned it. You got to recognize we paid our dues, yeah. 'Cause we want bread and roses too, yeah. We organizing, yeah, yeah. We're mobilizing, yeah, yeah. We ain't competing, we're conspiring, yeah. Ooh, 'cause we want bread and roses too, yeah, yeah. We mobilizing, me and you, yeah, yeah. 'Cause we want bread and roses too. Mazapan y rosas. See, you heard me right. Mazapan y rosas for me and you, yeah. 'Cause we want bread and roses too, yeah, yeah. There's enough for everyone. Don't be a hoarder, you, yeah. We want bread and we want roses too, yeah. There's enough for everyone. Mazapan y rosas for everyone. Yeah. 'Cause we want bread and roses too. Mazapán y rosas, mazapán y rosas, mazapán y rosas for me and you. You know you want some too. As we go marching, marching.
Thank you, gracias, Liliana. And now our Chief of Staff and Equity, George Trang, will introduce our tonight's final health and safety hero.
I have the honor of introducing Assemblymember Ash Kalra of District 27 as one of our 2021 Worker Health and Safety Heroes. Assemblymember Ash Kalra has been a long supporter of the occupational health and safety of workers in California. I had the honor of working with Assemblymember Ash Kalra on AB 647 with our partner and co-sponsor, the California Healthy Nail Salon Collaborative. AB 647 went into effect in July of 2020, and it makes it easier for salon workers to access information about the products that they use in the workplace because it requires cosmetic manufacturers and importers to post online applicable safety data sheets. Assemblymember Ash Kalra was first elected to the California legislature in 2016 to represent the 27th district, which encompasses approximately half of San Jose and includes all of downtown. He was re-elected to his third term in 2020. He previously served as a San Jose City Council member for 8 years and was a deputy public defender in Santa Clara County for 11 years prior to that. He is the first Indian American to serve in the California legislature in state history. He is the chair of the Assembly Committee on Labor and Employment and also currently serves as a member of the committees on Housing and Community Development, Judiciary, Transportation, and Water, Parks, and Wildlife. He's established himself as a leader on issues ranging from criminal justice reform to the environment, as well as healthcare sustainability, housing affordability, growing our transportation infrastructure, and expanding economic opportunity for all Californians. Please welcome us in recognizing Ash Kalra and his amazing work to protect workers. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's such a great honor to be recognized by Worksafe, and I love this. Thank you so much. I'm gonna very proudly display this in my office. And you know, it's, as you probably hear oftentimes in, you know, both this evening and whenever we go to recognitions, and folks say, well, you don't do the work for the recognition. That's 100% true. I don't do the work for the recognition. But I will tell you that when an organization like Worksafe recognizes me, and I see this when I'm in my office advocating for Californians, I know that the work that I'm doing, that the direction I'm heading in is in the right direction, and that I have allies outside the building that are with me every step of the way. And that's why I love to be able to put this up in my office and remember that that we're doing this together. And you know, I'm so grateful for Worksafe and for the work that you do for workers, for standing up for workers. And Jorah, thank you so much for that very kind introduction. You referred to AB 647, which is the cosmetic safety data sheets disclosure bill that we did together. And you know, I represent San Jose. San Jose has the largest Vietnamese population outside of Vietnam of any single city. And as many of you know, it's our Vietnamese workers, many of whom are women that are working in the salons. They're working, you know, nail salons, hair salons, and yet over the years we've seen that they've been working in conditions that are either unsafe, or at the very least, you know, they don't feel empowered to even inquire about the conditions under which they work. And so collectively, we can together stand up for those voices, for those workers, to make sure that, you know, they have the dignity of work. And dignity of work is not just how much you get paid. It's not just about, you know, the work, where you work. It's about the work environment and whether you're being treated with respect. And so, I'm so excited and grateful to be recognized this year along with the other wonderful honorees. And I just want to thank Worksafe for the recognition. And I look forward to many more years of doing what we can to make sure that all workers in California are protected to the best of our ability. And I know that we'll be working hand in hand on a lot of legislation in the years to come to make sure that reality is what we see in our communities. Thank you so much.
Well, that was awesome. What we'd like to do now is just chat with Assemblymember Ash Kalra for a little bit. So we're going to ask him a couple of questions and see what his thoughts are. So, Assemblymember Ash Kalra, it's so weird to see you on the Zoom screen. So, for many of you who don't know, Assemblymember Ash Kalra mentioned, he's in the San Jose district, and I've actually seen him at many California Healthy Nail Salon collaborative events. He's a mini celebrity in the Vietnamese community. We love him. And my own family are nail salon workers, and so we greatly appreciate your work. So the first question we have is, can you talk about your interest in health and safety for workers?
Sure. Look, before, as was mentioned in the intro, I was a deputy public defender for 11 years before I became a city council member and a state assembly member. You're wondering, what does that have to do with caring about health and safety for workers? Well, the reality is that I had an opportunity to learn about the neighborhoods and the community and the condition under which so many of my clients and their families lived in, the workplaces, oftentimes, criminal cases even come from when someone reports something, and the next thing you know, they're being accused of something, and so on and so forth. And so I recognize the intersectionality of healthy workplaces, of workplaces with dignity, and economic justice, and making sure that we're actually uplifting everyone. And as I went on to the city council, I continued in that mindset of making sure that we had quality neighborhoods, communities, places of work, make sure we had strong enforcement against wage theft. And then now, of course, in the state legislature, have continued in that journey. I'm very honored to be chair of the State Assembly Labor Committee, where we really can push for safe standards and to make sure that, again, we are collectively working to provide that kind of dignity at work.
Thank you. Yeah, and I've been a fan of much of your work in the past. Many of the bills that you've worked on have been very, very instrumental in providing health and safety to workers. So the next question is, what are you seeing in your district and the state around workers' rights and ways to strengthen protections to support safety at work?
Well, there are a number of things that we have done and should continue to work on, including OSHA standards. One of the bills that, and in fact, almost all the bills I do regarding workers and protecting workers, Worksafe is listed as one of the supporters. So if you're not a sponsor, you're a supporter of the work that we're doing together. And one of the bills was to ensure the Department of Public Health was sending over to OSHA reports of high lead levels in the blood of workers. So as many folks know, that in certain work environments, employers are required every 6 months to send in random samples of the blood so they can test the lead level. What was happening was the Department of Public Health was holding on to those reports and wasn't handing it over to OSHA. And OSHA is telling us, hey, if this bill passes, we want those reports. We want to follow up. And so we were able to get that passed. And that was a huge accomplishment to make sure that OSHA is empowered. Because at the end of the day, OSHA is fantastic. We have to give them the resources and the legislation and tools to empower them. And so what we've seen this past year, as I oftentimes say, is the COVID pandemic has not created the inequities in our state, in our society. It's exposed them and exacerbated them. So there's no doubt we have to do more. I was very proud to support our Majority Leader Eloise Reyes' bill, AB 685, which requires reporting of COVID cases by employers, and most importantly, tells the employees, hey, by the way, there's been a bunch of COVID cases at your workplace. The workers need to know this. They have every right to make decisions for themselves, even if that means leaving a job, because they don't want to put themselves at risk. And so a lot of work to do going forward in our healthcare facilities, making sure PPP is made available. But I think that we're moving in a positive direction, especially with our budget surplus, putting more and more resources into enforcement and protection of workers.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the lead bill that you worked on. I live in East Oakland. I'm out of your district, but I would have really appreciated that because Oakland actually has one of the highest lead levels in the country, believe it or not. So the last question is, can you share your thoughts on this moment as we see COVID fading in California, yet surging in other places around the world? The state budget overflowing, and yet so much hardship deep in our working communities. How should we approach the opportunity to consolidate gains for working people?
I say it oftentimes, being in Silicon Valley, San Jose, the capital of Silicon Valley, it's a tale of two valleys. I think we can say that about our state. We have a tale of two states. We have enormous wealth, yet enormous poverty, enormous suffering. And it's usually the workers, the working class, that suffers. And so I think that we should take advantage of this pandemic, of this crisis, to fight for workers and to stand up and say, you know what, the way we did things before is not acceptable. It's absolutely unacceptable. We're not going to stand for it anymore. And the one thing I'll leave you with is a little bill I'm working on, AB 1400, which would bring single-payer healthcare to California, CalCare. That is a justice issue. It's a healthcare justice issue, an economic justice issue, a racial justice issue, where so many countries are way ahead of us in actually not just saying healthcare is a human right, but actually acting on it. And right now we're denying a human right to so many millions in our state, so many workers in our state. And so I think that's one thing we can do, is get behind single payer healthcare and provide healthcare to every single person that lives in our state. That is something I believe that workers deserve and every family needs. So that's what I'll leave you with, is a plug for my bill, AB 1400.
Well, thank you so much. You are always ahead of game, always super innovative and creative in your advocacy, and we so appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful. Appreciate you.
I think it's you, Stephen. I think we're running a little bit late. So we're going to jump to the final closing.
Great. Well, thanks to all of you in this amazing community of worker advocates, unions, movement attorneys, occupational and public health professionals. Thank you again for coming out, for sponsoring our event, and for all your work through the year that makes our theme tonight real, that solidarity saves lives. A very special thank you to all of our generous sponsors who have made this event tonight a success. Sponsors are recognized in the program book, which you all have a copy of, and you can see their names on the screen now. I want to also personally thank all of my colleagues at Worksafe for their creativity and dedication on behalf of workplace safety. Anastasia, Jora, Karine, Maggie, and Thais, as well as Mara and Joan, who both recently moved on from Worksafe. And a huge thank you to all the members of our board who are so generous with their time and support. And again, to all of you for attending and supporting Worksafe's vital mission. Next year is Worksafe's 40th anniversary. And while we have much work to do together in the meantime, we're so looking forward to hanging out with you all by the punch bowl. So see you then, and good night.